Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show and our usual Monday night roundtable discussion. Delighted to say, joined as ever by a delighted Gareth Walker, a gutted Stephen Downs, and a fair to middling Dave Foy. How are we all doing?
I'm not delighted to see you, but there we are.
Is that because
I'm just glad that Downs has come on.
I'm
glad Downs has come on because he didn't threaten not to come on earlier today.
He did, didn't he? He did threaten to take his bat and ball home and not come on. So it's good to have you with us, Mr. Downs. Dave,
all right.
Always good to get you on the show. How are we doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, glad to be on the show, finally. I don't know how long it is since I've last been on, but yeah, it's good to be back again.
1933, Dave.
Yeah, probably about that long.
Is what it feels like at times. Let's start then with the big story from the weekend across our region, and that is, of course, Bradford City winning 3-1 against Huddersfield Town at the weekend. And Gaz, we'll start with you, get the happier take on the weekend's games. Now, I know that both you and Steve were there at the weekend. How did it go from your perspective?
First 20 minutes, Town dominated us. Played some really good football, knocked it about. We were under cosh, really. I said in my little post-match review that the game actually started the opposite to how I thought it'd start, because City have been really fast starters at home, and from what Downsy said and listening to Town talk, Town have been slow starters, but it was kind of the opposite. They had us penned in a little bit in that first 15, 20 minutes. Created a few chances. Joe Taylor at the bar. I had a ball wing came across and sort of semi-blocked it, and it looped up onto the bar. And then we scored the first goal, probably against the run of play, really. It was one of our first attacks, comes down the right-hand side, ball comes across, point and puts it in. But I think that was, I can't remember, 15 minutes-ish, something like that. And from that moment on, the game, the game just changed from then on, really. We were just full of confidence. Started to press how we know we can, harried them, and Towns sort of just didn't recover from conceding that goal at all. And like I said, the game just changed, and from that moment onwards, we were the better side for probably the rest of the game, really, and thoroughly deserved to win it. I mean, the second and the third goals that sort of ended the game as a contest, and are probably, I mean, Downsy will come onto it, but they're probably killers from a Town perspective because they happen so close to half time, and especially when you concede the second one. If that happens to City, I'm just saying just get into half time at 2-0 and you don't concede that third goal. But we were just in dreamland when the third one went in, and the second half again started opposite to how I thought, because I thought Town would come out and have a real go and we'd be penned in and suffer, really. But it wasn't. We dominated for a large part of the second half, and again, Town's goal came when our centre-back had gone off injured, and we had a left-back and a right-back playing at centre-half, and they capitalised on that. And there's obviously confusion from a corner on who's picking up who, and they scored. And then for the last sort of 5 or 10 minutes, they were putting balls into the box and doing what you'd expect them to do. In the respect, like I said, capitalise on our defensive disarray, really. We had players out before the game and players out obviously coming off during the game, and they put us under the cosh for the last 10 minutes, but we saw it out through bringing Kieran Kelly and Andy Cook on to help us out with the height from corners, and it was just a really, really good performance from a City perspective. You couldn't give anyone less than a 7 out of 10. We were worried about Tyreek Wright at left wing back. He had possibly his best game. Definitely in his third spell at City, he was outstanding in that position, considering we were really worried about him. Max Power, fantastic. Matt Pennington, fantastic. Ibu Torre, fantastic. But that's picking players out, and you shouldn't really do that because everyone was at least a 7.
I mean, you said before how you were concerned about Tyreek Wright, and obviously you put it in our group chat. And I mean, that sounds like you were just trying to lull Downsy into a false sense of security for Tyreek Wright, then pull out that sort of performance that he did on Saturday lunchtime.
Just the fact that since we've tried, and I believe at his other clubs at Plymouth and where else was it? Well, wherever he's been, when they've tried to play him at left wing back, it's just not worked. And when we've tried to play him at left wing back, it's not worked. He's looked a lot better as a winger, which is what he was when he first came to us. He's really struggled defensively, but yeah, he just got up and down the left side really well and tracked back really well. He was a threat going forward. Yeah, just really surprised me how good he was in that position, really, to be honest with you. I think it was more a case of we'd also moved Ibu Torre away from left wing back and put him in at left centre half because we'd had so many injuries at the back, and that was a problem. But yeah, it just all worked out really, really well for us.
Absolutely. Danzy. I mean, message from Lewis Sale for a start. We'll get that one up. He says, smile a bit. Might help. I mean, talk us through it from your perspective. Obviously, like as Gaz says, Huddersfield didn't start too badly, didn't capitalise on it, and then as you say, or as Gaz has said, they concede the second and third in 45 plus 2 and 45 plus 6. It's one of those where at that point, half-time tactics and team talks have been ripped up and had to start again, I guess.
Yeah, like Gaz has said, really, the first 15 minutes we harassed Bradford back. We put them in their own half. A lot of the time they were on the edge of their own box, just whacking it anywhere clear to get rid of it. I don't think you put any moves together, Gaz, in the first sort of 15 minutes that caused us any problems, really. We were utilising Castledine as a number 10 position really well in that first 15 minutes and getting the ball to him and kind of opening that pocket of space, which me and Gaz had talked about on the preview on the Monday, which I think you said it was Wimbledon that did that really well with their number 10 when you played them. And I thought, yeah, this is the way that the game's going to go, in terms of we're going to be able to utilise that quality from Castledine, which a lot of people have been asking for him to start. We had 8 corners in the first 20 minutes. I joked, we had a laugh with a guy in the stand and he put a bet on that he thought there were going to be 8 corners overall in the game, and Town had 8 corners in the first 20 minutes. It was unbelievable. Saying that, though, the corners were pathetic. I mean,
mate, they were either... Those corners were worse than Richie Smallwood's corners, and Richie Smallwood's corners were really bad.
They were pathetic, guys. They wouldn't beat the first man, or they were chipped into your 6'9" goalkeeper that were always going to win the battle in the air if the ball's played too close to him. And then the first goal for me, I don't know where you sit, Gaz, to how the goal looked. I thought it was offside. Most fans in the stand, and even when I've watched it back, it looks offside. Don't really understand how the linesman didn't see it when you've got 2,000 fans that can see it from the other side of the stadium. But in saying that, your lad got round Rowan. I think it was Northville, Norenville. However you pronounce his name. He was class on the day. I thought, apart from Boynton, he was your best player by a mile. And he got round Rowan, crossed it in, and I don't understand how Bobby Point has got in between our 2 centre-backs. I just don't understand. It's not even from a tactics point of view, that's just about getting to the ball first, and our lads didn't. And then Bradford just took control. They bullied us. They were more physical. They were more up for it. The second goal is just pathetic. I mean, that's not even about a tactical thing for me. What I don't get about that is literally there's 4 lads on the edge of the Town box at the right-hand side. They get the ball in from a throw-in, and then it's crossed in, and you might as well have given the Atlantic Ocean to Bobby Poynton at the back post, and he just stabs it in. And it's just, I just don't understand, like, how, as a defender, you've not looked behind your back and gone, do you know what? There's a Bradford man there. He might stick the ball in the back of the net. What we might do is we might just go over to him and mark him. But we didn't do that. So the second goal was pathetic. And then the third goal, it just bewilders me. We take a kick-off and 7 of our lads run into Bradford's half, which leaves 3 at the back. And Bradford win the ball, punt it forward down the left, which they've been doing all game, down the right, all game, which we should have learnt from by the first and the second goal. But we didn't. They crossed it in. Boynton gets there and gets what I believe should have been his hat-trick, because I do think he gets a touch on it. And by half-time, I was just like, I was raging. I just couldn't believe I couldn't believe how we turned up into a derby like this. And I said it on Monday. People were saying to me, "Oh, you looked a bit desperate on the podcast on Monday." It wasn't desperate. It was just I knew Bradford were going to be up for this game, and I had a fear that Town wouldn't be. And Lee Grant's got to sort the away form out because that's 3 now away performances, ironically against teams that begin with B, where we've been crap.
Well, let's go through a few of the comments. There's one of the comments from Fat Wombat says Bradford players were desperate to win. Town players rocked up, thinking they could tap it around and win easily. That's the difference. Town never broke second gear, and in a derby, that's unforgivable. We've got the as ever overconfident Ben, not to upset in the slightest. We'll finish way above them. Maybe they'll get the playoffs with our help. So more than happy for our West Yorkshire neighbours. We'll easily win the league, is what he's saying.
Good to see Ben. Good
to
to see
be fair,
Ben
that
early. Good to see that.
That comment from Ben doesn't tell me what he was saying on Twitter in the preview and the build up to the game when he seemed quite sort of, shall we say, he did care and he did worry. Some of the stuff that he's come out with on Twitter has been frightening, really. So to come on here and say that, I'm surprised he's shown his face, to be honest, on this show tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he was quite confident, wasn't he, of setting the play for and getting the win in the build-up. So,
he's come for a few City fans on Twitter as Ben, so I'm surprised he's not got his tail between his legs tonight.
Let's have a quick look at one or two of the others. Mark Harrison says, fair play to City, only fair to give them credit. Play well as a team, playing to their strengths. Town have a lot to think about in selection and approach, particularly in away games. And then Ben also makes a point about the offside and saying that if we had a decent set piece taker, the game could have been different. I mean, we've already touched on that already. And Brownie's also pointing out, is Dave growing a goatee? We'll come back to the question a little bit later. I mean, second half, Steve, 10 to go, you did pull one back with Redmond getting on the score sheet. I would ask you to describe it for me, but you'd already left Valley Parade by that point.
Yeah, I left on the. I confused the WhatsApp chat when I said I'd left on the 24th minute when actually I'd left on the 74th minute. With between the 70th and 74th, I was just fuming. I had to get out. I just wanted to get back
early.
It's the only time I've ever left a game early. I swear, in 15 years. In away games, it's the only time I normally sit there till the end and just sit on it, and I couldn't do that. I had to get out because
Gaz, at that point, were you giving it the classic cheerio, cheerio, cheerio to the Town fans?
We can see you sneaking out.
I think it was we can see you sneaking out, which is quite common anyway, isn't it? It's an interesting comment coming.
Downsy sneaking out, though. Did you actually see Downsy sneak out?
Well, I asked Downsy where he was sat. You were on the side, weren't you? Because Town had behind the goal and they had a couple of blocks in the side stand as well. Yeah, I was
in the east stand, or the one that you call the Lego stand, and I was sat right at the end, of the stand, basically, so right up in the corner.
Yeah, so you were down the side of the pitch in the corner, yeah.
Yeah. But I had to get out. I just thought it was just an embarrassing performance. We know passion, effort. It's the first time under Lee Grant that's happened. And I've said it, I think I said it on the day. I think I said fair play to City. They turned up, they wanted it, and they beat us fair and square. And that's, for me, if we want to be a team that wants to get out of this division, you need to go and beat newly promoted teams such as Bradford City, but fair play to them.
I mean, let's kind of touch on where both sides go from here. And obviously for Huddersfield, it's a home game against Burton Albion, and for Bradford, it's a tough-looking table-topping clash away at Cardiff City. I mean, Gaz, I'll start with you on that one. Away at Cardiff looks a mouth-watering prospect off the back of a Derby Day win.
Yeah, I mean, our home form is a lot better than our away form. We've talked about it a lot on this pod. We've struggled away from home for a while now. Not too dissimilar to how Town have started this season, really. It's not great away from home at all. So, I mean, I wasn't confident going into Saturday. I said to Downsy before we came on air that even when we had the better side, in the late 80s and in the late 90s as well, when we were a better side than Town always used to turn us over. They turned us over in 87, 88. I think they finished bottom of the league that year, and we missed out on promotion to the top flight on goal difference. They turned us over then. They did the double over us in 98, 99 when we got promoted to the Premier League. So it was nice for the boot to be on the other foot, really, where we were the underdogs and we managed to turn them over because they have a far better record against us than we have against them. And obviously, the budget and the clubs off the field are in totally different stratospheres at the moment with what Town can go and spend on players and who their owner is. And obviously, we don't even own the ground or the training ground. It's a similar scenario with Cardiff as well, to be honest. Obviously, the finances that they've got compared to us are just ridiculous. They've come down from the Championship. They're expected to do well. We've started the season far better than we would have anticipated. A lot of City fans would have said, stay up and we'll be happy. Then there's a few said mid-table and we'll be happy. But the way we've started, we've just started. It's been beyond our dreams, really, and we just look like a really good unit. If we were at home, I'd back us against anyone at the moment. Away from home, like I say, the form's not great, and Cardiff are above us with a game in hand. So it'll be a really tough game. They've started the season better than I think some people thought they would. I know that we spoke, didn't we, Chris, on the pre-match pod about Brian Barry Murphy and how we had concerns about them, but they've put those, or should we say, on the back burner for now, and they've looked a real force. They got I think this equalised in the 97th minute on Saturday, so they're fighting as well. So it's going to be a really tough game, make no bones about it. And like I say, I'm never confident anyway as a City fan, but I ain't confident on Saturday either.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, we touched on in the League One preview that certainly I didn't think it was going to come together quite so quickly for Cardiff City under Brian Barry Murphy, but he just seems to have got them playing pretty well. It's fair to say, with them being where they are in the table. Steve, as we say, it's a home game against Burton Albion, and Burton a little bit on and off, it's fair to say. So it's a game that you'd definitely be looking to bounce back with.
Yeah, obviously you can't see me on that image there, but they are 23rd in the league, I think, 22nd, 23rd. Yeah, they're not a good team at Burton, but then again, I did say that when we played them last year and they beat us. So I don't take anything for granted in this division now, to be honest. The top of the table there is just a bit mad, though, isn't it? Like, Town have lost 3 games. I know we've won 5, but we've won 5 and lost 3, and yet we're only 2 points behind Cardiff, who sit top of the league. So it's just a bit of a crazy top end of the division already, isn't it, really, in League One? But yeah, what I want to see from a Huddersfield Town League Grant side on Saturday against Burton is the players go out there and decide that they're going to give the other supporters one. We turned up. I don't know what Gaz thought to the Town fans' atmosphere before the game and during that first particular 15 minutes. Obviously, by half time, it's dead and buried in it, and we're all like, really depressed and down. But I think, in that first half, particularly even after the first goal, we were still right behind the lads, knowing that we've seen this before. But they are the supporters a game. There always a performance where they go out and smash Burton 5-0. And I ain't confident that that's going to happen. Kane yesterday on Town Talk asked me what my prediction was, and I went 1-1 because I ain't confident. Until I see a performance that goes, right, we want to be at the top end of this division, it's looking... What fans are scared about is that it's looking a lot like last season, following the pattern of last season, and that's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Is it? I mean, you're still sick. Like,
it's terrifying in the thought process that look at the money that comparatively we have spent in terms of this season, in terms of wages compared to last season. It's absolutely terrifying. The expectations this year are for Huddersfield Town to be in the top 4 at least. And I know we're 6, don't get me wrong. And we're only 2 points behind Cardiff and Bradford. But if you want to go up in this league, Chris, you can't be losing to Bradford. And definitely not Burton.
You say that. It is a Bradford side that are currently sitting second. So that seems a bit harsh and a bit disrespectful. Like
No, it's not. It's not disrespectful. It's not disrespectful. It's not disrespectful.
If we get to the end of the season and Bradford is still where they are around the second, third, also in the place with Town,
that's not. No.
Bradford is no big issue.
Yeah, come the end of the season, but But at the beginning of the season, Huddersfield Town are expected to beat Bradford City, that are newly promoted from League Two. If you want to go up in this division, you just are. So it's not disrespectful to say that. I've come on the podcast and been quite complimentary over the last couple of weeks of Bradford. I think they've done well.
So how many weeks have we been talking about Bradford and saying the momentum that they've got, like and the recruitment they've put together has been some of the best in League One?
Right. Okay. So let me just ask you this then. Let's use a Premier League example. Liverpool v Leeds.
Leeds are newly
Leeds are newly promoted, and Liverpool's just won the league.
Yeah, there is a far smaller gap between Bradford and Huddersfield than there is between Liverpool and Leeds. It's
still an example.
It's not an equal example. It's not a fair comparison, is it?
I don't agree with you. I just don't. I can't agree with.
The gap between Bradford and Huddersfield, budget-wise, club size, is far smaller than the budgets between Liverpool and Leeds.
Obviously, I'm using a football example, not a finance example.
It's a weird example to go for. Like,
all right, sorry. Everybody expected City to win League One this year.
No,
when they come up,
but everyone expects City at Valley Parade to win games against anybody. They've proven
I've not said any different to that. What I've said is that Huddersfield Town at the beginning of this year are expected to be at the top end of the division and beating newly promoted teams into this league. That's a fair assumption at the beginning of this year. When you've bought Alfie May, you've got Joe Taylor up top, you've brought Ryan Ledson in and Jack Watmore from Championship size Preston North End, and Marcus Harness, who, by the way, was the shittest person on the pitch on Saturday by a country mile because he couldn't pass a bag of cement, from Ipswich Town, who's played in the Premier League and the Championship.
You are aware that Bradford have already caused greater upsets than beating Huddersfield at home this season, though, by beating Luton, who came down from the Championship last year?
Yes, I get that. Guys, am I wrong here? Am I wrong? What?
I just think it's a really weird. I don't know. I just don't buy this. Oh, we should be beating Bradford City because we're not in League One. I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. When you look at.
It's the expectation of being at the top of the league. Luton will have had the same expectation. Luton to win this league. Everybody was saying Luton should be winning this league with the amount of money that they've come down from the Premier League with and the players that they've signed. So if you ask any Luton fan, they would say we are expected to beat Bradford City that are newly promoted into this league. Did I say it was going to be an easy game? No. Did I expect us to win? I didn't expect us to win. I was hopeful for a win, but I didn't expect it. Do I think Bradford are playing above themselves at this moment in time with the squad that they've got? Absolutely. Do I think that they should be relegated with the squad they've got? Absolutely not, because they're better than half of the division already with the squad that they've got. I don't understand why.
Form goes out of the window on Derby Day.
And that's the other thing, isn't it? Form completely goes out the window with Derby.
Well, of course it does.
Gaz?
I don't know what to say. It is very, very difficult because, as I've mentioned about League One being a team, a division of haves and have-nots and the finances and this, that, and the others. In that respect, yes, they are expected to beat us. But I also mentioned in my post-match review that at the end of the day, when football isn't played off the pitch, it's played on the pitch, and it's 11 against 11. It's two teams in League One. It's a home game and an away game against each other. I like Downsy a lot, and I don't want to say
coming here.
No, not necessarily. There is an element of the Town fan base that can be quite arrogant and quite disrespectful towards Bradford City, and I wouldn't put Downsy in that group normally.
Usually.
And I think that's why you've said what you've said there, because you've sensed it as well. It's a very strange element that will go on about the Kevin Gray tackle years ago and they'll worship him. And you've seen it on Twitter over the last week or so where they have some elements of the Town fan base have him in such high regard because of what he did to Gordon Watson. And that's a very, very, very strange attitude to take. And I think that winds people up. But as I say, off the pitch, and you compare them and the signings that they've made and the fact that they've just come down from the Championship and the fact that they're expected to, well, the billionaire owner, they're not having anything holding them back. Yeah, they are expected to beat a team that's just come up from League Two. They are expected to beat them, but our home record is very, very good. As Dave said, Derby Day, things go out of the window. So it's a difficult one. In a respect, Downsy's right, but in a respect, you're right as well, Chris. And it's really difficult. And I'm trying to explain it in both aspects there. I really
love how careful you're trying to be of like not.
You can tell, can't you?
Also, yeah, I can. I just want you to let loose and just tell us what you think.
Chris is just trying to wind me up even more after the weekend.
I
know your tactics, Christopher. I know it so much. I have got no bone in my body that is disrespectful towards Bradford City. Leeds United, yeah, I'll slag them off all day long because they are what they are. But Bradford, I ain't got a bad thing to say about Bradford because I think they're a decent club. I think they're a decent fan base. I've never hated them. I wasn't born. I wasn't born. Well, I was born when the grey tackle happened, but I don't remember it. So, I just think that the two clubs have different expectations going into this season.
That is a good way of putting it down.
And there was different expectations over the entire season, or there are expectations over the entire season that are microcosms of games. So do I expect us to beat Burton on Saturday if we want to get promoted from League One? Yes. Do I think it'll be an easy game? No.
Let's move on from that then, eh?
I was waiting for you to say let's move on.
Yeah. I'm like, this is just...
Sometimes, Chris, I love you, and sometimes I hate
change. All I'm saying is
they can
change.
And my
expectations will...
My hope
there'll be section of the City fan base where the expectations may change a little bit from the start of the season, because I think City could maintain this sort of form and be right up there come the end. And I think Town could also maintain this sort of form and also be in the playoffs come the end of the season. So bring on the playoff derby. Dave Foy,
I'd hate that. Would you hate that, Dawson? I would absolutely hate that.
I'd hate that. I'd also hate it if Barnsley are in there as well, because it's my other half supports Barnsley. That my worst nightmare at Wembley is Town v Barnsley. I'd even take Bradford at Wembley over Barnsley.
I wouldn't want to play Town at Wembley because your record in the playoffs is really, really good, especially compared to ours. But what I will say is that it's a generational thing. Downsy touched on it briefly. Like, he was born 96, you were born, Downsy. So you've seen Town play against Leeds a lot more than you've seen them play against Bradford. It's a totally different thing to someone who was born in, say, the 80s or the late 70s and see City play Town and with a teenager and can go. Do you know what I mean? It's a totally different. Depends how old
Gaz
you are.
hates Town. You don't, you guys? At Leeds and Town, you hate Town more. Come on.
I don't hate Town. What I hate is the element of the fan base that there's a really odd element to some sections of that fan base that I don't like, and I think that's what winds me up.
There's odd sections to every fan base.
There is. That was going to be my caveat. There's an odd section to a lot of fan bases.
90% of Leeds fans are odd. So
follow that with especially Town.
I can't wait for Lincoln to get relegated. Be a party day.
It is the, Lincoln. We go to Viper Arena what 2-3 weeks time. I think it is, guys. It's not too far off. I'm going to be expecting Lincoln to go there and beat new promoted Bradford. I'm not, by the way. This is
obviously not. Non-league Lincoln. You wouldn't expect non-league Lincoln to go there, would you?
What's Lincoln, interesting with the Lincoln game is that apparently Lincoln are the only side that have had less possession in a match than Bradford City this season. That's really, and they're both like up around the playoffs.
Yeah, neither side's going to want the ball in that one. It's going to be a strange one. And actually, to be fair, with Bradford and Lincoln, there is a very strong unity anyway. When it comes I think there'll be a lot made of that game when it comes to it because of obviously the unity from the fire. There's always going to be a special bond between those two clubs.
I just want to make one point on that, which is connected to that, Chris, before you move on to Dave and his 20-hour rant about probably Halifax and Huddersfield Rugby League anyway, is Jake Edwards, before the game, did go and lay a wreath at the Bradford City Fire Memorial, which I think, Town fans have raised money in the past and done bucket collections. And, so just we have to be fair there, where Gaz has said that there is an element maybe of our fan base that is arrogant and maybe not the nicest. I think the majority of fans, though, when it comes to things like, the Bradford City Fire and stuff like that, we have gone out of our way in the past, even at random games, and done collections and stuff like that. So, I think that's only fair to say that as well. And well done to Jake Edwards for laying that reef.
And it's like with everything, Downsy, there's more good people than bad people everywhere in the world. And it's the same with every single fan base. And that's just the way the world is. I like to think so anyway.
There's 3 good people on this podcast and then Chris. But there we are. Right, let's move on to Halifax Town now.
Oh, you did so well, Downsy. You could have left that on a really nice note, and then you just had to bring it down. Just slightly.
Dave's been waiting really patiently, and he's not been on the pod for a while, so we've got to let him have his say now.
Thank you, Dave. Dave, well, let's turn our attention then to Halifax. And at the weekend, after half an hour, you're probably thinking, oh, God, not again. 2-0 down at home to Eastleigh. But a very late fight back. 82nd and 87th minute, the 2 goals.
Something like that, yeah.
Take a point from... I mean, basically, it seems like snatching a draw from the jaws of defeat in that case.
I think I've been on the show previous, even this season, where I've said a game of 2 halves, and it's happened again. I tweeted it out on X once we conceded the first goal. It's exactly what Adam Lakeland's been saying almost since the beginning of the season. We're conceding too many unnecessary and soft goals, and it's happened again. The 14, I'm sorry, I've forgotten his name. He was running down the right-hand side, and it was almost like the defence parted and were just like, have a shot. And he did, and he scored. And the second one...
Messiah Edwards.
Yeah, he's on loan, I think, from a fairly high-up team as well. He's a loanee there. But, I mean, he had a good game, to be honest, for Eastleigh. The second goal floated in. Sean Hobson's only just come back from injury. The man sort of went round the back of him and got goal side of him and just knocked it into the back of the net. Again, possibly a little bit rusty from being injured. We brought Dylan Crowe and Sean Hobson back into defence. We've only kept 1 clean sheet this season, and that did involve Sean Hobson. Dylan Crowe didn't have a particularly bad game. A couple of decent crosses into the box he did need. Adam Lakeland's substitutions have rescued this point, but in the second half, it were a case of we started very, very well. Like, we hit the bar twice as well. Like, we were all over Eastleigh. Eastleigh were quite happy at 2-0 to just try and park the bus, and they were doing that thing where players are getting cramp and the goal is going down and all that jazz that comes with it. And I'm shouting from stand to ref, you must see this every week. Why are you not cutting this out now? But they just let them do it. So he let them manage the game out in sections. Angelo Capello on the left side, though, just coming away from that. He got in the Vanarama, not the Vanarama, because it's now sponsored by someone else. He got in the team of the week for the league. The Enterprise National League. Yeah, so he got in the Enterprise National League team of the week. And I usually poo-poo stuff like this because I just think they aren't really worth the paper they're written on. But he really fully deserved a place in that team. We saw one of his best games. He was very, very good down that left side. Crossing and shooting maybe left a little bit to be desired, but he was easily our man of the match. He got given man of the match. With the game being on danger zone, they gave him the official man of the match. But yeah, first half, we didn't play particularly badly, but again, we've just gifted a team 2 goals and we've given ourselves a task to do. And it must be about the 5th, 6th time we've had to come from behind and not lose. Like, the 2 games we've won, we've scored first. Like, we've won 1-0 at Boston.
You've only played 9 games as well.
I know, it's crazy. I think we've got 9 points from 9 games, so it'd be 2 wins, 3 draws, 4 losses. I mean, the loss down at Southend is just expected, really. Yeah. We lost 3-0 at Southend, which is no surprise because we've seemed to have got into a routine of doing that. But, I mean, at 1-0 down, we went down at 10 men and hit a bar down there. And by all accounts, there was something like 15 minutes of injury time. So that were kind of expected. We played well against Forest Green in the other game we lost. But, yeah, we give ourselves too much to do almost. And, like I say, it's something Adam Lakeland's identified and he's pulling his hair out about it. I haven't listened or watched his post-match reaction from Saturday, but I would imagine he's going to bring it up again. But we haven't had a settled back four, back five. You know, we've constantly had injuries, especially in the back. Like I said, we only just got Sean Hobson and Dylan Crowe back. Will Smith's still injured. We're still missing Joe Cummins. Florent Hott is again on the injury table, on the whatever the treatment table. But we hammered them in second half. Absolutely hammered them. Like I said, we hit the bar twice. We scored 2 pretty good goals. There were 5 minutes of injury time. If the game had gone on maybe another 5 or 10 minutes, we'd have probably scored again. But I don't know whether to criticise too much for the bad first half or just praise the fact that we were so good in the second.
It's often difficult, isn't it, to know exactly how to look at these sorts of games, because you want to be critical of the first half and you want to give praise where it's due for the character of the fight back. And I guess that is exactly all you can do, isn't it? Is you can, question the situation and why you've ended up behind in those circumstances, as you say, at halftime 2-0 down. But then, I'll say exactly the give praise where it's due for the second half as well. I mean, as you say, 9 points from 9 games so far, 6 points off the playoff places. How would you tend to assess is it 10 games including a National League Cup game? I think that you'll have played. How would you assess the kind of the opening 10 games or so of Adam Lakeland's tenure?
If I had to score it out of 10, I'd give it a 7. I would give it a 7. I think we play. It's all about brands of football now and identities and all that, and he plays a better brand and identity of football than what Chris Millington did, but Millington's still got that FA trophy and 2 to 3 playoff, entries in that back pocket to produce at the end of the season. If these are entertaining games, on another day, under Chris Millington, we'd have probably gone in at 0-0 in this game, and the game would have more than likely ended 0-0. Like, we'd have got a draw anyway, but there wouldn't have been 4 goals in the game. That's the only way I could really sum up the two styles. Like, there's desire, we give ourselves all these mountains to climb, but they do seem to, more often than not, they do climb them. I mean, we played Braintree on the opening day and we conceded after 2 minutes and lost 3-0, missed a penalty. We missed a penalty in the next game. I've already touched on the Southend game. Don't get me wrong, sometimes we're putting ourselves in, we're causing problems almost for ourselves and we're not recovering. But in a lot of games, I can only really echo what Adam Lakeland said. You've got to give credit for us getting back into it. He's brought in a few talented players from Kings Lynn. A lot of them have followed him from Kings Lynn. Some of them, well, most of them actually, have made a pretty good account of themselves. We've signed Jay Cook-Turner from his release from Newcastle, and if he clicks, I mean, we're giving him a good amount of game time. If he clicks in, he'll be the next one that'll go on and have a very, very good career in the Football League. Although on Saturday his deliveries into the box from corners, he's our dead ball taker. They weren't that good. The problem is he's almost made he's made like a, what's the phrase now? He basically scored a great free kick with his first dead ball situation. So he's made a rod for his own back. He set the bar so high. But it's a little bit like what Downsy was saying with Huddersfield. We were whipping corners in and they were just getting headed away on the near post. Like, we didn't really do anything from dead ball situations, all in all. But, one of the goals come from a cutback. But that just seems to be National League in general. Nobody really seems to have a great dead ball taker. They all seem to be a bit samey.
Can I ask you a question?
It seems to be nowadays that if you've
got Downsy. That's what this show's all about.
We'll come to that in a sec. It just seems to be at the moment in football in general that if you've got good set piece takers are worth the weight in gold at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
The impetus on the set pieces, not like across all levels. To be fair, go on, Downsy.
I was just gonna say, like, in that graphic, Chris, is that the table as it is now? Yeah.
So let me just bring it back up. Yeah, this is the table as it stands now.
Like, so I'm not. This is just an observation, Dave. Right, after 9 games, you're 17th. You wouldn't have been 17th under Chris Millington, would you? So I'm an outsider looking in, right? I'm going, it might be better football to watch, but your results are far worse. So which is it do you want? Do you want better football but you're nowhere near the playoffs? Or do you want results which get you in the playoffs?
I feel like I know where Dave might go with this, but go ahead, Dave.
It's something that's been debated quite a lot on our fans forum, which is quite quite active. Some people have almost been as critical as to say, well, we finished 6th and 7th and never turned up in the playoffs, so we might as well have just finished 15th and scored 70 goals in a season and conceded 65 for all the good it did as getting into the playoffs. What it is I'm, again, like every season, looking at the players that are injured and are going to come back. All right, they'll need time to get up to speed and they might get injured again, but we've got really good players to come back. And I think if we can just get through to New Year, stay in touch. The 7th place coming in as a playoff position in the National League's totally changed the dynamic of it. Like, every team in that league is either fighting to survive or they're looking at that top 7. That 7th place has just completely opened that league up. When you think, I mean, I'm going back 20 odd years, there used to just be one team would go up as champions. So your season could be over essentially, even as a chaser by Christmas. You'd only need a team to be 10, 11 points clear. It's like, might as well finish 12th and just, I don't know, draw every game 5-5 as well else. But we are 2 points above the bottom 4, but there is only 9. You know what I mean? It's exactly what, like Chris said, you're 6 from the playoffs. We're 2 away from the bottom 4. Like, there's just, it could go either way. Either way. Some would argue that they're more entertained this year, even though we're not getting the results anymore. But I'm just trying to be positive for once. It's
the weird way of football fans, isn't it?
I'm just trying to be optimistic.
Dave, you said that in the most negative way going then.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. I'm really trying to be positive.
I am though, and I mean, obviously I've spoke at great length about David Buzzensworth, and I'm not going to get too sidetracked with it. One thing I can always say, and what managers can say that have worked under him, to his credit, is he does give them time to get things right, in inverted commas. We'd have to be bottom 4 and getting cut adrift for him to take action. Like, Jamie Fullerton's had a dalliance in bottom 4. Chris Millington had a terrible start to his managerial reign. You know, we had to bring Jim Harvey in after Darren Kelly was, I don't know what word to use to describe his 10-game tenure. Yeah, pretty much that. But again, that was entertaining football on the front foot. Great. We lost 7-1 to Cheltenham and we lost 7-0 at Grimsby. There's nothing entertaining about that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, but say swamp donkeys. You really want to?
I'm not even going to get onto them. They've got a playoff game coming up, and it's a bit like our playoff campaign. It's worthless, absolutely worthless. Could play Oldham, they could hammer every team and just not go into Super League because they want Bradford Bulls there, or they want bloody Catalans or some other foreign team. Like, doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. But it's Oldham again. Why does it have to be Oldham? Why was it Oldham for us, and why is it Oldham for the rugby team? They're just a thorn in our side. Go on, Gaz.
Can I just ask you, at the start of the season, what were your expectations for Halifax?
I just want us to have a good run in FA Cup and stay up, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, because we haven't got to the third round. Yeah, honestly, yeah. Yeah. We've not reached the third round properly for about 38 years. We just, whether it's because we've had to reform and we're down at the level that, like, you find Park Avenue and Brighouse, where you're having to win 5 and 6 games to get to the first round, or we've just gone out as soon as we've got this really poor record of getting there. Like, we got into a second round replay 10 years ago. We'd got Brentford away in the third round. Like, what kind of tie is that? They were a championship team at the time. There'd have been 4,000 or 5,000 at Griffin Park, and we'd have probably took 1,000. It'd have just been a non-event. They'd probably stuck 5 past us, and that'd have been it.
I meant more in terms of the league, really, because obviously you've been at the playoffs under Millington. Did you? Is it acceptable to have a new manager come in and then just want to stay up? Is that right?
It was
I don't think it's just I want to stay up. I would take just staying up if we had a good FA Cup run. If we don't have an FA Cup run, top 7 should always be the target. But It's what I've touched on, Gaz. For every team now, realistic, sort of. I mean, you've got like your Troros and a couple of others that it's like, yeah, we take staying up. Top 7 can be a target for every team in that league. Like, if I name teams that I think are a similar stature and where they are in our league, Woking, Aldershot, ourselves, you know, Eastleigh even, who we've played, they're clubs that should be looking at top 7 and thinking we can get that 7th spot. They need to have a bit of a better go of it than what we have, though. I mean, we had a lot of injuries last year. The season before, we'd done 4 games in 10 days, and we just run out of steam. Again, we're a crossbar away from drawing with Solihull, who went 3-0 up. You know what I mean? We've been a little bit unlucky in the playoffs. last season was last season. We played a team of just like kids that we had on loan, or were just, you know, I'm not sure. I'd still say top 7 if we don't have a great FA Cup run.
I mean,
that's madness. That's mad for me, because like, if you know, in your FA Cup run, the first and second round don't really start till like halfway through the seaon. So like, you've already given up half a season.
Well, yeah, I mean, you just asked me what I wanted at the beginning of the year, and that was it, really. If we're not going to get top 7 and we need to rebuild once more, we've got a new manager in, we've got a load of new players, I would take a season of just sort of mediocrity. If we had an FA Cup run where we're getting to 4th and 5th round and we're knocked out at, I don't know, let's say Fulham away or somewhere, like we're knocked out, but we've gone those rounds instead of just going out in the first round or the 4th qualifying round. We've done, oh dear, we've got hard teams away in National League, like 4th qualifying round, we're one of the strongest teams to come in it. We've had Oldham away and lost 4-2. We've had Marine at home, who were 2 or 3 levels below us. Okay, they'd done Tottenham a couple of years previous, but they've come to the Shea and won 1-0. Like, we just, whatever we're handed, we can never seem to deal with it. We can't, we're obviously it's going to be hard going away from home to one of the better teams in your league, but we can't deal with lower league teams at home. Like, we've only beaten one Football League team since 2008, and that was Morecambe in the FA Cup.
It's all right. When you draw Lincoln in the first round and they're expected to beat you, and then you beat them, Chris will know what expectations are then.
Well, I was just about to say, you know, if it's a good job that Dave doesn't look at the National League table the way that Downsy does, because newly promoted Boreham Wood, Scunthorpe, and Brackley are all
they're all in top 7.
They're all above Halifax. Boreham Wood and Scunthorpe have started superbly, but as newly promoted sides, Dave, you should be expected to beat them.
But Scunthorpe are Scunthorpe, aren't they? They played in front of 5,500 on Bank Holiday Monday. Scunthorpe at Boreham Wood.
Yeah.
Scunthorpe are Scunthorpe, aren't they? Do you know what I mean?
Boreham Wood, they're having a particularly good start.
Boreham Wood are the very definition of Tim Pot, but they get away with it. They really do. They play in front of like 700 or 800, and they're just an awful club. They're an awful club.
Stop being a hot chili tonight, Chris. You're being a hot chili, mate.
Yeah, like there's all sorts of stories about BW. Honestly, they're not very well thought of outside their own little North London circle. To be honest,
they aren't a particularly well liked club. It's fair to say. I'm gonna bring Brownie into the mix as well. Evening, mate.
This has been an entertaining show, hasn't it? Chris and Downsy, have you two met up yet, or what?
We're getting there. It depends if he'll stop saying daft stuff. Before we kind of carry on,
good debate, lads. Good debate.
Good to say that you've not got your good to say that you've not got your washing machine running tonight, Brownie.
I do actually. Hang on, no, we're fine.
Before we kind of move away from Dave, final kind of touching point, really, Dave is looking ahead to this kind of coming week, and obviously on Saturday. It's Gateshead away, which again is as grounds to visit isn't one of the best, even though it is one of the biggest because of the running track and it's uncovered seating as well for away fans at Gateshead. But again, it's a Gateshead side that are currently fair to middling, sitting bang in the middle of 12th so far, but a -10 goal difference.
Yeah, Gateshead are having by their last half decade what would be described as an underwhelming season. Really, they've sort of pushed. They've been a bit similar to us. They've sort of pushed for that top 7, and
they've had a lot of financial issues.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. There's something, we have a very special relationship with Gateshead, and I've said it on the show before, and I'm not going to say it again in case it affects Saturday's game, but yeah, Gateshead are a team that we've faced semi-regularly, and yeah, they're familiar foes. I think Gateshead might be a bit fed up of seeing us, actually. Without saying too much about what I'm trying to say, I don't think Gateshead enjoy playing us, to be honest.
Fair enough. I mean, you kind of your prediction. I mean, would you take a draw at their place as it stands, or do you reckon you've got enough in the tank if it's your day to get all 3?
I think it could be our day to get all 3.
There we go. Let's end on Dave's happy little smile of predicting that then.
Yeah.
Just a couple of other bits from non-league locally. I know at some point me and Lou are going to try and do a non-league show when he's back from his holiday in Cape Verde. But over the course of the weekend, Bradford Park Avenue in the Northern Premier League East continued to be top of the division with a 1-0 win away at Blythe Spartans. Garforth beat Lincoln United by 4-1. Pontefract Collieries they beat Hallam by 3-1. Brighouse lost 3-1 at home to Heaton Stannington, and Silsden had the most remarkable defeat, to be honest, of the season. Silsden lost 10-1 at Redcar Athletic, with former Guiseley striker Adam Boys notching up 5 of them. Certainly an afternoon to forget for Matt Kavanagh and work for him to do as they look to move on from that. Although, how do you move on from a 10-1 defeat, lads?
Sack the players. Start again. Liquidate the club. No, Bradford Park Avenue have done well, to be fair. Top of that league. It's a hard league, and there's a lot of good teams. Obviously, Emily didn't play, so they played tomorrow. And, Brighouse. What do you think, Chris? Do you think Brighouse are struggling again?
Yeah, well, I mean, if kind of running through the league position for the sides across the Northern Premier League East at the moment, Avenue sit top, and then Pontefract Collieries occupy the final playoff space at the moment in 5th. Garforth Town are 6th. Emily sits 8th. Ossett United is currently sitting 16th. Silsden 19th, then Brighouse in 21st. It's not been an easy start to the season at all for Grant Blackside. Obviously, they were relegated last season and then reprieved due to other clubs kind of falling by the wayside. It certainly had been a difficult start to Brighouse, and obviously, Dave, I know you kind of keep half an eye on Brighouse Town as well. I've been involved in the past, and it's not an easy league to compete at when you don't have some of the resources that other sides do.
No, I mean that's it. That's their 21st in a 22 league team, 22 league. Why can't I say anything? Why? Do you know what I mean? There's only 22 teams in that league, and they're 21st. Just for context, so there's only one team, or is there 23 now? Has it expanded? They're near the bottom anyway, like Chris has said. Bill Powell, when I started, seemed to have a fairly solid side. He lost a few players. Lawrence Sahendo went to Guiseley, which we covered on this show. Tom Haig left for Emily, and then results weren't really going Bill Powell's way. I mean, did he do nearly a decade at Brighouse? I seem to think he must be up there 8 or 9 years. Yeah,
it was a good long time, wasn't it, that he had it?
And they had that promotion to the Northern Premier League, but couldn't go up because of goals scored, because it was like 5 teams from 8 or something like that. And it just, I'm not sure, there's just seemed to just have gradually been in a decline since. They didn't have a great, as you said, they were saved from relegation with a reprieve last year, and that's just where they're at the minute. I mean, it's like all teams at non-league level. There's people that work, the people that volunteer there are friendly. They've got a nice little clubhouse. They're like other teams in that league. Obviously, we've. I can't remember if we spoke about it on air or off air, but we you can identify teams like Matlock at that level. That's who they're up against, as well as every other team in that league are also up against it, but they're not. Brighouse Town and Matlock, and I know there's things going on at Blythe Spartans and even Park Avenue, but Brighouse aren't Park Avenue, Brighouse aren't Blythe, Brighouse aren't Matlock.
Yeah,
Brighouse are Brighouse. Yeah, if they stay up, great. If they go down, they'll just start playing Penistone and whoever's in that league below, Golker or whoever. You know what I mean? They're not, as far as I'm aware, they're not in any kind of financial trouble, or I don't think there's any particular issues in the background. That they'll just play. The level that they're at, you just play the game basically. You know what I mean? These people, they're just part-time lads who have other jobs, other commitments, and Brighouse or Brighouse, yeah, that's the only way I can put it. Brighouse or Brighouse, and what will be will be.
Yeah. Brighouse and Brighouse. Let's go Upper League. Guiseley, they were in FA. Crikey, which would it be? They were in FA Cup qualifying action
They've been
at
second
the
qualifying
weekend.
round, I think.
Yeah, it was second
Yep.
qualifying round of the FA Cup. Thank you, Dave. They were beaten by 2-1 up at Southend, but it's been a very inconsistent start. Inconsistent is the word for guys, because on the league front, they've played 8, they're sitting 14th, 3 wins, 1 draw, 4 defeats, and there's been some very, very up and down results for the Lions so far this season. I'd say they were knocked out of the FA Cup at the weekend. And finally, the Northern Counties League results. Albion were beaten 4-1 at home by Beverley Town. Liversidge got a goalless draw away at Barton Town. Tadcaster Albion from our neck of the woods, they are currently top of the NCL Premier Division. It's a fantastic start to Ryan Quarter's tenure there. They won 3-1 away at Bosford Town. Eccles Hill picked up a 3-0 win over Handsworth. Golka had a hefty win away at Frickley Athletic, winning by 6-1, with the returning George Doyle getting 2 goals in that one. Knaresborough Town got a 1-1 draw away at Parkgate. And then Thackley, who had started the season particularly well, they've dropped off the boil a little bit in recent weeks and are in mid-table. They lost 1-0 at home to Penistone Church. Quickly into NCL Division 1, Leeds UFCA, they got a 3-3 draw away at Armthorpe Welfare. Wakefield lost 2-1 to Brigtown. Wakefield, again, they've started okay, but they keep dropping points in strange places, and that's one of them with a 2-1 defeat away at Brigtown. Glasselton Welfare lost 3-0 away at Durnan District. Route 1 Rovers, they won 4-2 away at Louth Town. And Nostell Miners Welfare, they picked up a 3-1 win against Maltby Main. So in terms of the league positions currently, at the top of the NCL Premier, as said, Tadcaster Albion sit top with 23 points from 10 games. Liversidge currently occupy 3rd, Penistone 4th. And then you're talking, Campion 10th, Eccles Hill 11th, and Thackley 12th to be a bit of a cluster of Bradford sides. Golka are 16th, and Albion just above the bottom 2 at the moment on 18. Horbury currently sitting bottom of the league, having been promoted from last season. And in NCL Division 1, the only representative in the playoff places at the moment are Wakefield, 19 points from 11 games, but very a side that were expected to be title challenging for sure, and they are already 8 points behind the league leaders, currently Durham District, who are on 27 points. Leeds UFCA. Go on, Downser.
Expectations? Whoa, we can't have that. Was Horbury's Brownlie's team anyway from last season? I can't remember Brownlie.
Yeah,
it was Ossett, and then I swapped to Horbury.
You're letting them down this season, Brownie. Come on, get that together.
I will get out there eventually.
It's a difficult start to the season for Horbury, it's fair to say. Right, let's move on then. Let's talk Leeds United and Brownlie. I mean, Downsy's been trying to revel in Leeds' defeat to soften his own pain, I think, over the course of the weekend.
It was the only good thing that happened to me at weekend was Leeds and Forest losing.
A 1-0 defeat away at Fulham. I mean, I guess the only saving grace is it wasn't Muniz that got the goal.
Do you know what? We were talking about Muniz, actually, because obviously Leeds were after him for most of the summer, it seemed. And to be honest, he played like a bag of cement, to be honest. He didn't really do much, and he didn't look much livelier than Calvert-Lewin, to be perfectly honest. So I'm glad we saved the 40 million or whatever it was that we were rumoured to be linked with him. This is a problem with social media. So any Leeds fan watching that, and you can check out mine and Jay's reaction after the game, it was a good performance from Leeds. It was a good away performance in the Premier League from Leeds, and a bit of bad luck. Goodmanson's own goal. I mean, it's one of those things, Alan Shearer couldn't have put it away better than he did. It's just terrible luck, awful luck. And just over social media, a few days later, suddenly it's turning into a bad performance, and this is wrong, and that's wrong, and all this kind of stuff. It was a good performance from Leeds. It was almost perfect, ideal away performance. Fulham, established Premier League team, being unlucky in the previous games, should have beaten Man United, could have beaten Chelsea if it weren't for VAR. Unlucky to find themselves in the bottom 3, and we restricted them to next to nothing. They didn't have their first shot till after the 60th minute. And, like I say, it's a bit of bad luck. Are we toothless up front? Yeah, we're toothless up front. We are. That's that's a worry. That's a concern. I heard a stat last week that Calvert-Lewin has the biggest underperformance in terms of XG of any striker in the Premier League in the last 5 years.
It's XG. We know that's not that
Yeah.
crucial.
Well, yeah, I mean, how much weight you put into that. But, apparently we're very data-driven in our recruitment. You think maybe someone would have read that point, actually. But anyways, we know we've got concerns in the attacking portion of the field. But it was good. It's what we needed to do. And I think we've got to strap ourselves in as Leeds fans for a very difficult season where we may win 10 games or something. It might not be enough. 9-10 games. There's going to be plenty of weeks. Could go for 2 months. Could go for 6-7 games without winning a game. And I feel like portions of the online community, it's like, they're already melting down. And you're like, chill out. It's going to probably get a lot worse than this. And it's kind of a perfect storm because we've got Wolves next week who've lost every game. And there's, they could turn us over, and then it's going to be, full on meltdown City. Do you know what it is? I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how much credence you put into the footballing gods and kind of sliding doors moments in football. And my worry is with Farke is there's just something written in the stars that it's not going to work out for him with Leeds in the Premier League, because silly stuff like the Goodmanson own goal at the weekend is just, it's one of those things where, if we're walking away with 5 points, it looks great. And sometimes it just feels like there's other things at play in football, doesn't there? There's just that other element to it, a bit of luck, that can go against you. Because if we don't, get a point at the weekend against Wolves, that noise is going to get louder and louder. Away form. If you get a point away from home, great. It's the home form that's going to be key. I still don't think the attack, from an attacking sense, we've had a fair crack at it in terms of, let's play not a Champions League team at home. That'd be nice, and let's see what we can do. I did want to get you guys' thoughts on what Farke said, though. I did pop it in the group earlier today.
I have got it to hand. I'm just going to bring up, actually, because we were touching on this, and obviously James is looking at this as a Huddersfield Town fan. The Farke out narrative, it's never really not been around, because you think back to the end of last season, excuse me, and even after promotion, obviously Brownie, there was talk of, are they going to axe Farke now and basically upgrade, is the way I've been looking at it. And look, I said to you actually in pre-season that I wouldn't necessarily blame the 49ers for parting ways with Farke despite the success and trying to look for the upgrade to almost speed up the process of trying to become established. And obviously, as you said, results have come out so far the way they have, and that vocal section of the Leeds fan base is there already. And then, as you brought up in one of our group chats earlier today, I'll just find the quotes. Talk us through it. What was it? Was this from the Athletic?
This is from Beren Cross, the football writer for Leeds at the Athletic, and basically in the press conference on Thursday pre the match, they asked, because it's the first time they've spoken to Farke since the transfer window ended, and Farke had said before he wanted attacking players, and that didn't happen. So they were asking him, what's how does he feel about that? And basically, to kind of not mince words, he said, he gets on with it. They're not going to complain, and it is what it is. And he did make reference to the fact that, Jack Harrison, Brendan Aronson had poor reputations, and fans, didn't particularly care for them, and kind of, I don't know. I guess in the press conference, it seemed like a bit of a kind of us against the world type of speech. He thought, fair enough. Okay. And then post game, he's kind of bringing up, and I just thought the kind of wording of it was kind of quite strong, obviously quite emotional post match. But he says about Jack Harrison, Willie Nonto, Dan James, Brendan Aronson. They were all with us 2.5 years ago when we got relegated from the Premier League. They were all called hopeless and not good enough for the Premier League. That is a reality, and they were, of course, outstanding at Championship level, but right now they still have a point to prove. And my kind of thing is, well, are you not complaining about it, or are you still going to bring this up when you've lost a match? And I asked a couple of mates who've kind of played to a kind of reasonable level and said, how would you feel about your manager talking about you in this way or referencing, how the fans feel about you and your reputation? And they said they wouldn't be happy with it. They wouldn't be happy. I mean, I don't know. He's right in a way. I mean, he's right. He is right.
Yeah, he's not
But
wrong. Like,
I just don't know if, as a manager of these players, that you should be kind of speaking it out.
Farker can't be proved wrong with this because they either kick on and improve, and he can say, "Well, that's what they needed," or they don't, and he can just say, "Well, I've kind of said these guys aren't really up to the stat." Like he's onto a win-win, I think here, Daniel Farker. I think he's onto a winner.
I agree.
Is it one of those where because of his accent, it's been taken out of context and it looks worse written down than what it was when it was actually said in to the reporter?
It does read weird, doesn't it, Downs?
A little bit like the whole Thomas Tuchel when he said repulsive, and that was taken out of.
Yeah. Like Amarin's always been taken out of context at Man United, isn't he? I know he says some absolutely head loss stuff, but it does look worse written down, and maybe this is a case with Farker. But my whole thing with Leeds, and it's just exactly what Brownie said. I watched the highlights of them against Fulham. No, but in all seriousness, although I am a Town fan, I'm a football fan as well, and I do watch, many of the local teams' highlights anyway, just to see what they've done. But my whole thing with Leeds is they've just got nothing up top. They're just, I'm not. Calvert-Lewin to me is just not good enough. I don't think he'll score you the amount of goals that you need, and I've not been impressed with Nemecha. I'll be honest, Brownie. I don't think he's the one to get you goals to in tight games like what you've had against Fulham and what probably will be against Wolves next weekend. I mean, is Wolves at Ellen Road or is it?
No, it's away.
Yeah, you see that. So, at least it's away in a sense, because if you lost and it'd have been at Ellen Road, if you lose next week and it's at Ellen Road, the crowd then will be up for blood, won't they? But
yeah,
I just think you just don't have it up top. I mean, I like Dan James. I think he's a great player, and I think Willinonto can create some magic on his day, but apart from them two lads, I mean, I haven't seen this Okafor or whatever his name is, but you just don't have it. You look. I tell you what, you look like. You look like a cracker without any cheese on or jam up top. You're just playing and you're just boring.
Downs' analogy of the week.
I hadn't heard a Downsy analogy for ages. That is brilliant.
That's what Leeds have got everything, right? They've got the fruit salad there, the great basis of the team.
Who has fruit salad with cream crackers?
But up top, you're just a cracker without any cheese or jam. Yeah,
do they have a bit of butter or anything, or is it dry? What we're talking about?
No, it's just dry. It's just dry.
Yeah, that's awful.
It's just not
dry cracker.
I've never seen anybody put jam on a cracker, to be honest. But
I love jam on a cracker. Strawberry
Leeds
jam
need to beat Burnley, Sunderland, and Wolves, and
West Ham.
Take it from there. I think for all this XG, and again, I spoke about it in my own little talking head. For all of this new age sort of like stuff we talk about, I think the fundamentals are still there. You've just got to beat who's down the bottom with you. Or who could potentially be down there. So you're looking at your Burnleys and your Sunderlands, Wolves. I think they need. It's possibly a must-win against Wolves because I think Wolves will be down there.
But you've got Sunderland and they've got a bit about them. I don't know what you think.
You know what? I mean, not to go all stats man here, but we've got a higher XG than Sunderland.
But you don't look like you
doesn't
do.
give a shit.
But Brownie, you don't.
I'd rather have their 7 points, but whatever.
But Brownie, you don't look like you do you? When you watch.
No, do you know what it is? What I say about. Well, what I say about Nemecha, now I think his general play has been excellent. He was excellent against Newcastle, but I agree in terms of you don't think he's going to get you a goal. And Calvert-Lewin, his general play is very good. There were a brilliant moment where he kind of got in front of the defender and set up Sean Longstaff, for his chance that hit the bar. And it was some brilliant work, but it's kind of all work and no goals kind of thing. There's just no real.
One for you,
Well, Ian,
Brownie.
you know what? Ian brings you up. Now, this is the thing where, with Farker, it's going to be, how adaptable or how experimental is he going to be?
I was
'Cause
going
he's
to
been-
ask this
you know.
because he's been set in his ways, hasn't he? Quite a lot.
Yeah, so he was 4-2. What was he? 4-2-3-1 last year, and that's what he's played for 2 years in some variation. And then this summer we've set out for 4-3-3. So we're missing that number 10. We don't have a number 10 there. Will he play Peru and DCL? See, I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see him doing something like that, even though that might unlock it, and that might be what ends up kind of cost him a little bit. Is because if we can't put the ball in the back of the net, then we're definitely we're going to be done. So
Just to make another point about Calvert-Lewin, and I'm sorry to bring another analogy into it, but I think it is a good one, right? Calvert-Lewin.
Don't ever hold back on your analogies, Downey.
So Calvert-Lewin, like you said, he brings everybody into play, doesn't it? He's got great link-up play, but he ain't got that final finish. And to me, it's frustrating because it's like watching a dog.
A terrier.
It's like watching a dog paddle backwards in an Olympic swimming race. It's like the dog's got all the technique in the world, but when it comes to finishing the race, he ain't got it. He ain't got the speed or the pace.
I mean, yeah, spot on.
Is it though? Is it spot on,
No.
Brownie?
No.
It's something. I mean, to be fair, I always feel with Calvert-Lewin though, and actually, I think he makes a fair point with Perot alongside. It could work because for me, DCL has always been better in a 2. I think he scored more goals in a 2 than he has when he's played as a lone striker, even at Everton, even in his better periods. But again, it's we're not going to see Farker play the 2 wide men and 2 strikers, do we? Effectively, that's
the only thing I could see him do.
That's not going to happen, surely.
The only thing I could see him do would be to go back to 4-2-3-1 and put Piru as a number 10.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
going
Which
to
he's
say.
done, which he has done before.
apart.
But I mean, I'd be scared for Piru in the number 10 at Premier League level. I really would.
Leeds fans don't like him there, do they? Number 10.
No,
You don't want it. I've always thought he's a better number 10 than a striker, but
he's a bit enigmatic, is Peru. I mean, obviously, he was his top scorer last season, and he's got such good technical ability, and he's a big guy, but he has no physical presence. And there's so many games in the Championship where he barely touched the ball, but then there'd be other times, like where he bangs 4 goals in one game. It's kind of it's a tricky one. I don't necessarily think we always play to his strengths, but he knows where the back of the net is anyway, certainly, but it's
by the Arsenal game, you're not going to get smashed this season a lot. You are. The only teams that will smash you is the top 6. Where Leeds will struggle is in the tight games, and you've got to, like Dave said, earlier, you've got to win the tight fixtures against Burnley, against Wolves. I think you've got to be beating West Ham, to be honest, and Sunderland, but I just think Sunderland have got that bit more, I don't know, about them.
Well,
Burnley.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I think Sunderland have had
well.
easier fixtures, I would say. Sorry, Gaz, yeah, go on, mate.
No, I've just been waiting to come in. I just wanted to say what you said about Peru, I don't know how you say his name. I always thought Peru, but it sounds like it's Peru. Isn't that what you're lacking? Someone who can just put the ball in the net. It sounds like you're creating, or you've got creative players there. Isn't it just the fact that you need somebody? Because you were saying you needed a striker, weren't you, in January? You didn't get one. I mean, there were a few areas that you said you needed and you were disappointed. I know you were gutted around transfer deadline day, Brownie. We spoke about it on the pod. But that kind of falls in with what Farker's saying as well, because he's gone out there and I think Dave's right. He said, look, I've not got the tools. If I don't get the tools, we're not going to succeed. But then it's kind of putting pressure on the board for not backing him and saying it's not my fault if we don't succeed. But he's challenging the players as well to go and I think
I don't think there's anything wrong with what he
a
said.
lot of managers would not do that. A lot of managers would never. They big the players up. They want them to be able to think that they're better than they are. They want them to be able to run through brick walls for them and exceed 110%. I think it's a risky strategy in that respect, but as Dave says, he's nothing to lose because he's absolved himself of all blame.
Yeah, which I think but then it feels like you're kind of heading one way. It's like it feels like you're almost waiting to fail at that point.
But I said to you, Browning, though, is it not him basically kind of saying to the players, look, you've got a frigging point to prove here. Like, everyone wrote you off last time when you came down. Everyone said this before. It's one of those where he'll probably say to the players behind closed doors, go and prove people bloody wrong. But to the press, he's going to say, well, look, I've got the same players that came down with Sam Allardyce. Like, what do you expect me to do if the fans didn't think they were Premier League good enough, then they weren't there. So it is also that message to the board between the lines of, you didn't frigging bat me, like you haven't given me the tools to work with. I personally, I see nothing wrong with what he said. I mean, again, Gaz, I don't know what you make of specifically the comments and your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it either way. I mean, what I would say is that I don't know. I've lost my train of thought. I was going to say something that felt quite important at the time.
Sorry.
I was going to talk about Farke and what you said at the start of this chat, Brownie, where you said it feels like it's just waiting to fail. It's like, and I think that's been the case, as I think Chris said as well, from last season and from when he was appointed, really. You do get the impression with some managers that it's just not going to work out and it's going to only end up one way. And whether that be because of what they're saying in the press, or because of what's happening in the game, or because of what's happening in what fans think about them, it kind of feels like all three of those are happening with Farke at the moment.
Do you know? To be honest, I'm probably more of a Farke supporter now than I was maybe 12 months ago.
Right.
So when we lost the playoff final, I was kind of, if he'd have gone, if they'd have got rid of him, I'd have been fine with that. I'd have been like, yep, fine. And then last season, he kind of, with a lesser team, managed to, get us up, absolutely dominate the league, blah, 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 blah. And coming into this season and what we've seen so far, I like it. I think it's been good. And it's just, you're right. There's absolutely so many fans that are Farke out. They're just waiting for Farke out. And to be honest, that has been there the entire time.
Yeah.
There's been that feeling and that minority, or whatever you want to say, of Leeds fans that have just been waiting. Every time we dropped a point, it was Farke out. There's just a belief that he's just ultimately not going to be good enough. And it's I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair. I think he's done a great job, and I like how we're setting up at the minute. And he was not given all the tools he needed at the end of the transfer window. Yes, he will be able to point to it, but I also think he doesn't need to say or keep saying about how everyone thinks the players are shit.
I mean, I said to you on deadline day, like, it feels. It's really peculiar just how little backing the 49ers have given him in those key areas. We talked about the midfield, the wide areas, the strikers, the fact that Ramazani was sent out on loan but not replaced. And yes, he might not set the world alight, but he's better. He's a better option than no option, things like that. It really does feel like he's been.
Do you know what it was?
But almost set up to fail.
Do you know what it is? I think because by PSR, and obviously the accounts will show if it's true. That's
I like
good. That's good. It'll show. I think it'll probably show that we did spend as much as we could because we didn't get any outgoings. We didn't make any significant outgoings, and I think they probably expected, more to happen on that front. Like me and Jay have discussed, we had to cancel Bamford's contract. We had to terminate it. Nobody wanted to sign him, Meslier, can't get rid of Meslier. No one wanted to buy Meslier. Even, higher profile players like Struijk, dead. It was quiet all summer. Nobody wanted to, so I don't think we were able to make the sales to then reinvest and open that window PSR wise. And, unfortunately, it's left us in a situation where we are short up front and, we've got what we've got. But yeah, strange stuff like letting Ramazani go is obviously looks a little bit unwise now, considering what happened after.
I mean, I was going to say, where do you go from here? But the obvious answer is Wolverhampton. And look, how much pressure is there on that game? Do you think the fact that Wolves also have had they've had a worse start to the season?
I think it's easy to look at that, but again, it's away in the Premier League, and I think me and Jay talked about it before. We both said, look, it's very feasible we get no points from these 2 away games, and it's about not losing your head at that point. The problem is everyone else will, and I'm not saying me and Jay are perfect Leeds fans or whatever, but it's like we just know the reaction if we don't win that game, or if we lose that game, is going to be absolute bedlam. It's going to be carnage.
Usually, you're the pessimistic one as well.
I'm normally a pessimistic one, but even for me, it's ridiculous. I mean, some of the things, if the players and the manager gave up as easily as some of the fans do online, well, relegate us tomorrow, because they're giving up straight away. Well, I'm just saying. So a bit of the online kind of stuff is a bit frustrating, but I know it's not like that in the stadium. But it's not a must-win. We've it's the 5th game into the season. It's away. Yes, we know about Wolves and how bad they've been, but it's not a must-win. It's a yes. We'd like to get something from it, but I'm more worried about the reaction if we don't get something than the actual position that we'll be in.
I think Strand Larsen's been injured as well, isn't he? I don't know if he's due back on Saturday, but that's going to be.
Do you know I've had him in my fantasy football team for weeks as well?
Yeah.
I had him this weekend. Yeah, I forgot to sub him out.
Brownie, have you kept up this season so far?
I've dipped in and out. Have you seen my stuff?
I logged in for the first time last weekend to notice that I was like 3rd bottom. So what you need to do, Brownie, is for me, like you said, you need to beat Wolves this weekend, and you need to get some jam on them crackers. You need to get some jam on them crackers, mate. That's what you need to do.
Oh, he's actually done that.
Oh, brilliant. That's why he was so quiet for 10 minutes, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was just not that quick.
I thought there was something amiss when Downsy's quiet for that long.
Yeah. I didn't think Chris had noticed it, so I just thought I'd just slip it in there. But yeah, get some quick.
I could see him doing something. Like, what's he doing there?
Is that revenge for the thumbnail, Downsy?
Yeah, just a bit, mate. Just a bit. I mean, I've been nicer there. I've been nicer than what you've been. But there we are.
I mean, I just before we wrap up, then finish with Leeds on looking longer term, then, because as we said, it is Wolves away on Saturday, Bournemouth at home the Saturday after, which looks an incredibly difficult task given how well Bournemouth have started the season. How the hell a side loses 3 of their starting back 4 and just cracks on as if nothing's happened? I don't know, but that's what Bournemouth have done.
Brilliant manager.
And then you come to October as well, and it's Spurs at home, a huge-looking game for Burnley away, and then you end October at home against West Ham United that could be 6 points. I mean, from them 5 games, how many points? What do you think the bare minimum you need points-wise out of them 5 games? Not just to keep yourself going, but to silence the rather vocal section of the Farker Out Brigade, because if you don't pick up results in those 5 games, well, do you reckon he'll be gone by then if results don't go that way?
Yeah, I think there'd be a possibility, yeah. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they're just going to sit with him in tow. What I would say, though, is it was released, it got leaked out, the 49ers' plans, and they're happy with a 16th finish. What they're expecting, what they're wanting is a 16th place finish. So it depends how that's tracking. I mean, they said the point per game will
does something like that leak out? That's
I don't know.
Why have they said 16th and not 17th?
Or 15th?
Because the
I don't know what that difference is.
We'll aim for the highs of 15th this season.
It's literally like part of this plan. It's literally like the put us. I think it's 16th, 16th, and 15th or something, and then start to move on up. As long as we're tracking on that, they won't pull the trigger. So what do you need? I mean, look, if we could get a point against Bournemouth, if we could maybe look to beat Burnley, beat West Ham, it just depends. It just depends. It won't go straight forward like that. But as long as we're tracking for 16th, he's not going anywhere, and he's doing his job as far as they're concerned. And I'll think the same, to be honest.
That's going to frustrate the life out of the section.
It's going to be
of the fan
really.
base.
Oh, it's going to be. Yeah, it's funny because all summer, all Leeds fans have been saying, "Yeah, we know it's going to be hard, and we know we're not going to win many games." And then as soon as it actually happens, and we're not winning every game, it's like they can't comprehend it. So
I'll be honest, you're quite calm, Brownie. To be honest, like normally you are the one out of you and Jay to be like, Jay tends to try and be more positive, and you're the opposite. You're a bit more like Gaz, but you're half empty. You've already drank half the beer, and you've only got half of it left.
Oh, another analogy there.
But
That's 3-1 night, Downsy.
You're spoiling us.
But you've decided that you've been quite positive tonight. It's nice to see.
Well, do you know what it is? It's like I really was looking forward to getting back to the Premier League, and I want to try and enjoy it because that's what it's been about. That is what it's been about, and I refuse to just kind of be miserable about it all the time.
So you've got half cream on your half cracker then. That's what we're looking at there then.
And a bit of
The
jam.
bread knife is out.
And a bread knife is out.
Bit of jam, bit of cream, might even be a cheeky scone involved. We'll see.
Oh, now we're talking when scones are involved.
Yep.
I bloody love a scone.
Yeah.
Come on, Chris, wrap this show up. Where's it fallen to bits, mate? Always falls to bits when you're roasting.
There is always room for discussions of scones/scones, depending on your pronunciation and which goes on first, the jam or the cream. Just before we wrap up, Brownie, I'm sure you usually have a plain white background behind you. Has the missus been putting some artwork up for you? I'm surprised you've not covered that with a Lucas Radebe shirt from 2003 or something.
I'm in a different room in the kitchen today. Yeah, I'm in a
very
different
nice
room.
picture.
Yeah.
I like that. Bit of wall out there.
It's St. Ives down in Cornwall.
Ask him where he got it from, Downsy, because you've got some decorating to do in your new gaff.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I might get Brownie to come and do wallpapering. To be honest,
I could do your painting.
Oh yeah, there'll be a lovely Bielsa mural before you know it.
Yeah.
Dave needs to get some.
What do I need, Downsy?
Dave needs to get some Halifax branding on his walls, doesn't he? You know, like them clubs do down there.
Can I just produce this from absolutely nowhere?
Give me a minute.
Here he goes. Here he goes.
He's gone.
What's coming back? We don't know.
Yeah.
There we go.
That would have been a lot better if Dave didn't have the blur setting on the background.
Yeah, I was thinking that, Chris.
I need to get glasses on then.
No, I quite like that it was a bit of a hodgepodge of an image because that's what the club's a bit like. We're a bit hodgepodge, so it's a perfect. Again, it's a perfect analogy. We've had another one.
I thought you were going to say oh, hold on, Al. Just and it was like he's got Chris Millen as prisoner or something, and he just brings him.
I thought he was going to take his shirt off and just have a picture of Chris Millerton on his back tattooed. To be honest,
yeah,
it's on the front actually.
All right, okay.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up and end on that. I'm sure that Brownie, will there be some Leeds content this week in the build-up to the Wolves game, I guess?
Well, yeah. So me and Jay have settled into like a Thursday morning Leeds show. So check that out. We'll be on then previewing the Wolves game, and then we'll have a bit of post-match reaction as well.
Good to see Leeds fans are working hard during the week. You know what I mean? They've all got jobs, haven't they?
Exactly, yeah.
People have different shift patterns, Downsy. Don't be a bitch.
And on that note, good night.
Yeah, on that note, look, if we're lucky, we might get a show out of Stephen Downs at some point. But yeah,
what about that? There was one Sunday in Numpty.
Right, let's leave it on this note. Thank you for joining us on the West Yorkshire Football Show. Big thank you, as ever, to Dave Foy, Stephen Downs, Gareth Walker, and to Stephen Brown as well for joining us later on. And we'll see you very soon on the West Yorkshire Football Show. Up the Bantams. Good night.